My name is Tobias. I'm from Extreme Distribution. Welcome to our post-IBC webinar. So far, we had the webinar with Woody Technologies, followed by Extreme Media with the new hosted portal Extreme Fabric. Then it was Capella Systems with the CEO Ikuri Yamada. And now we had the demo of Libero Systems from Irfan, and Ozan just finished it. We are about to head till the end, and so we end again in Germany with Oliver Moiro, the CEO and co-founder of Flowworks, who will be so nice to do the demo now.
Hi everybody, I want to very quickly, we have just under half an hour. I want to show you and explain just a little bit about what we do at Flowworks. Flowworks basically provides solutions for any type of media environment, covering three large areas. One, it's a classic MAM or DAM system. So it does everything you'd expect a MAM to do. We'll look at that in a moment. The second part, which is also a large part, is all about integrating third-party machinery. You see that at the bottom. And we do lots and lots of that because we work for a lot of broadcasters. And using that integrated machinery as well as all of the flow technology, we allow customers to build all types and any type of workflow, and of course do that themselves. They can either commission us or really autonomously work with the system to create any type of workflow and create automated processes as much as they'd like. What do I mean by automated processes? As an example, you ingest something, you first want a quality control done, and if the result is okay, the system is to automatically start producing previews to notify a user, to detect whether metadata is complete, or notify a user that certain metadata needs to be filled in. For example, when you are prompting the system to then deliver a file out to your broadcast system, your VOD customers, your websites, your social media accounts, etc., etc. So device integration and workflow design can take lots of different forms, of course. There is no limit to what you can do with the system. And because you might have an environment which already comprises of a lot of third-party machinery, such as transcoders, QC systems, other databases, databases, etc., you can really hook up anything that you'd like to have in your workflows, i.e. any data source or any machinery that you'd like some processing to be done through, and have that run automatically. The third part, I mentioned there are three: MAM, workflows, and the third part is really all about monetization. So in the so-called bubble chart, you see that out to the right, it simply says play out, and in the little wording you see where we publish and distribute to. We do broadcast, VOD, web, apps, rooms, I'll explain that in a minute, shops, social media, and of course classic file delivery. So it's quite a large system, but it is built in a modular way. We have customers from all walks of life. I'm going to jump through a couple of charts just to show you a couple of examples. We have producers, we have post-production houses, we have broadcasters, we have advertising agencies, we have a lot of industrial customers, we also have news agencies. So pretty much anybody who has media content in any shape or form and would like to work or create that media content to then go and publish it somewhere, i.e. run everything from a production to managing your content out to publishing and monetizing your content. And we do that, as I mentioned, in a lot of different environments. So we have a large machine, but it is also very customizable. That really means that there are a lot of ways you can build the system, not just from the modules that you want to use, but to the way you want the system to look. And please interrupt me anytime you have questions, of course, but I'm going to jump straight into actually showing you the system. So I'm jumping into what we call the Flow Archive GUI. And you can see here in this particular example, we're looking at Porsche. That's a customer that we started to install last year, and the system is up and running. In the particular GUI that we're looking at now, and I really want to just focus on that for the moment, I'm going to go through the central editorial workflows. So that really starts with what you can see over here. Of course, I can search for a content. I can filter the site type of search. So if I want to have 9/11 and I do want to have pictures and video, I get a certain search result. And obviously, if I find a piece of content interesting, I simply double click on it and it will open up that piece of content, and I can start seeing all of the media that belongs to it. I can start seeing all the metadata that belongs to this particular piece of content. If I just want to go through video, it's maybe a little bit more interesting. Let me just do search, and of course I can also do an expert search. I've just used the simple search here. Using an expert search, I can very easily, and this is all configurable of course, define any detailed search. I can use lists of items, so you get an idea here. I can create combined searches like following and get the according search results. But let me just stick to looking at a search result, and I'm opening up a particular content. Here I have a video, and again I see the metadata. In fact, what I'm looking at is a media container. What is a media container? Media container basically means that I have this video, but this video doesn't just exist in one format, it exists in several formats. So I have the original source file, I have a rendered high resolution file, I may have a smaller preview file, and I may have some distribution derivatives for, let's say, Netflix, for a website, for my social media accounts. And you will find all of these different formats down here in the related video or derivatives box. I find all the metadata up here in the same container. So really what I'm doing is I'm opening up a shoebox where everything that's related to this particular video is in one spot. And I can start working with this in the sense of editing some of the metadata. Of course, this is rights driven, so not everybody will have the right to edit all of this metadata. Some of your users may be able to see all of the metadata, others would see only parts of the metadata that's relevant to them. Some users may be able to edit all the metadatas, others may only edit certain fields of it. And of course, the structure and the type of fields you have in here is customer designed. So this comes in lots of different variants. And it's very easily settable. That's really the core of what you find in the MAM system. Let's just go through the other functions. One of the key functions, of course, is an uploader. So if I want to upload one file or multiple files, I can do that, for example, via the browser. I could do that via FTP, SFTP, a network folder. I could ingest via Signiant, Asperia, or any other transfer client. I could simply attach a USB stick to my laptop at the moment and start uploading from there. And of course, I can upload multiple files and then create metadata that goes into all the containers for multiple uploads. By the same token, of course, if I choose to, marking a couple of items here, if I choose to go into mass edit, I can, by the same token, change the metadata for multiple files at the same time. So that's the regular uploader. Then the next stop would be projects. What are projects? Projects basically allow you to operate in this browser-based software as if you had shared little yellow folders on your desktop. So in creating a project, and you can see here's a list of projects. I can simply create a project and then start adding files to that. Oop, nothing in here, that's not very clever. These projects will have individual metadata. So I could give it a title, I could create a name, I could say, is it public? Who are the members of that particular project? Of course, only members would be able to see the project. To fill a project, all you simply do is you search for something that you think is interesting for that particular project, and then you drag and drop that into that particular project. We're not doing this right now because it is a live system. And you can see here from the little icons, I can create private projects or I can share projects across a range of all of my users or just thousands of the users. One other thing I can, of course, do is create sub-projects for these, etc., etc. Another way of using the same system is to create rooms. What are rooms? Rooms are your collaboration tools. So basically, if I am to say, I have a piece of content that I'd like to share with somebody, I'm going to create a room. So I am going to create a room, and let's say I'm going to make a download room. I would simply create that in the GUI. You can see here's my new project. Again, I would furnish that room with one or with multiple files that I could simply select throughout the system. Again, just add stuff by dragging and dropping. And at that point in time, of course, I have not made any copies of anything. I've simply created a list of content, and now I want to go and basically share these contents with a specific user. I would simply do that by adding metadata to the room. I would go into the editing mode and, for example, create a sender or a recipient, email, etc., etc. And what the system would do, I'm shortcutting it a little bit here, just by going to the clipboard. What the system is doing, it is creating a new microsite, and you can see that microsite here. And that microsite is being given a certain function by me. It's called a download room in this particular case. And what I can find, it has a separate URL. And that URL would be either manually copied and pasted into an email, or I could get the system to send that for me. And I would now be able to offer these contents to, let's say, an external production partner to do the localization, for example. Create me a French audio track for all these files. And by the same token of creating an upload room, a download room, I could simply go and create an upload room by simply changing the room type. I'm saving that now, and if I refresh the existing URL, you will see I now have created an upload button, basically allowing my external partner to now upload content into my Flow Center. And hence I would be able to run projects, I would be able to run any type of collaboration, and of course, very importantly, get approvals. And if you have a file that's been approved, you would probably go on into the next area, which would be publishing. In this particular environment, in Porsche, we have something called News TV attached to the system, and News TV is simply a website. So this is a public website. If you care, have a look at the link. It's called newstv.porsche.com. And what you will see in here is basically it has content, and of course it plays that content. It has what we call header navigation. So it has certain fields in the header navigation, which, for example, be on technology. If I click on that, I get additional content offered out to me. But beyond the header navigation, it has additional navigational points like down here. We call these lanes. And the way you manage these contents, I have News TV open here. You see the headers and the footers, etc., created here. And to publish, all I do is I simply drag and drop an item into the right subcategory or category as I've seen them here. And that would immediately publish the content onto the lane that I've chosen. And by that same token, so I hope this idea has traveled. You know the way I published into I published into the project or into the room. I could do all of my publication into my own websites, into my social media channels, into my VOD customers, into my broadcast delivery systems that I'm sending it to. Basically, distribution is simply a publication workflow. And because, you know, for the publication of, let's say, this item to the particular channel, I have particular metadata. You can see that down here. I've gone into distribution and looked up the publication metadata for News TV. again, I could edit that for the particular channel that I'm going to. New 911, I'm going to call that, and that would be the title displayed for this content in this website. So from the back-end system that I've shown you here, you can not just manage and ingest all of your content, you can run your production projects internally and with all of your external partners. You could do your approvals with your clients, and you can even go and do all of your publication, i.e. monetization, say for your sales and marketing drive. If you sell content yourself, you could simply do your deliveries, maybe directly back to your customer. Let's say your customer is a broadcast company, or you could feed, if you are an industrial or an agency, you can attach and feed all of your web presences, such as shops, such as your homepage, such as your press service, such as your e-customer relationship, for which you would use the room, which I showed you in the guise of a production customer. But why don't you use the room to talk to your journalists? Because the room allows you to create customized and personalized microsites automatically directly from the system at any point in time that you'd like that to happen. Okay, I promise to be really fast. There's a lot more to see. There's a lot more to talk about in terms of workflows, in terms of third-party device integration, pretty much anything that you saw in today's webinar, such as Woody, such as Libro, such as Capella. That's already integrated. There are loads and loads of other devices which we've really integrated from any walk of life, be it a production system, be it an editing suite, be it a QC system, be it a broadcast environment that we publish out to. I don't have time to really go into that, but I'd like to invite questions at this point. I know I was very fast, so maybe you have a couple of questions for me.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Actually, indeed, there were at least 2 questions for what I can see now. Someone is a very well organized participant, and they say that they have some information that you have launched a system at France Télévisions, and if you could give some more information about the customer project, please.
Sorry, you were a bit cut off there. Which customer? Information about which customer?
France Télévisions. Someone knew that you implemented a system there and wanted to get some more information about that.
I still didn't get the name. I'm terribly sorry. Maybe you can write that in the chat.
Télévisions.
France Télévisions.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I didn't understand your excellent French. I'm terribly sorry.
Yes,
what we do for France Télévisions is basically 2 things. France Télévisions obviously runs a lot of different channels, and they communicate what the program is on all of those individual channels via our system. So there's a back end which looks quite a lot like the one that we're currently looking at. And that allows the users at France Télévisions to manage the preview or even the full files that they are publishing on all of their channels, to add the metadata and to take the publication decisions. For example, I have a show which is on next Wednesday, and it's going to run on France 2. The file would be uploaded into the system by a user using something like this. The user would be able to generate additional metadata using this, and then the system would actually automatically, but this can also happen manually, give a certain file a status, and I can sort of show you that here, give you a status of, let me just go into the editing mode, released. And from the status released, which is basically an approval, the system would automatically detect that this file is now going to be available on France 2 as of next Wednesday, and it would publish this file on the France Télévisions preview site, which is basically a journalist public website to which journalists register, automatically, and it would display the content with the according publication metadata. And the site looks a little bit like this. Obviously, it's a bit different, as you can imagine. And it would play the site, it would make it available to the users for a given set of time. From a start point of publication, it would automatically display the file to a end of availability date. And at that point, the system would automatically stop displaying the file in this public environment. That's pretty much what we do for France Télévisions. We do something similar for another department, for documentaries. They don't have a public website. They instead use the rooms. And I'd like to highlight again, the rooms are microsites that you can use to talk to individual people or groups of people, but targeted. So they use this system, again, using a different visualization, of course. They use this system to talk to individual people or 2 or 3 people at the same time about very specific items that they have in their archive. Again, with the target of making it public, of getting journalists to write about France TV's programs.
Very good, thank you. And also here we have the question, how can you try Flowworks? Is there a possible for a proof of concept or access to a demo system?
Well, we have both. We have a demo system and we'd love to take you through it. Obviously do what we've just done with a little bit more time and taking all of your questions into consideration. The other very easily done alternative actually is to go straight to POC. The only thing we really need you to do is to tell us a little bit about what would your metadata structure look like. So let us know what type of fields you have, and we can very easily build you a GUI, which looks like this. Put your branding in here, put your metadata structure in here, and get you to use it yourself, because we believe it's a very, very intuitive system. So just simply let us know what your metadata structure would look like. Just give us a first overview. It doesn't need to be complete. It doesn't need to be finished. We'll build a POC for you together with Toby, and we'll send you the details to log in for you to browse around, get an idea of what the system can do for you. That will get the juices flowing, and you tell us what you like, what you don't like, and what else you want to look at. Because there is plenty to look at. There's plenty to automate. There are whole other parts of the system that I haven't shown. But it is really, you know, to get people on the board, the best idea is to get people on board. So try us out. We're happy to do POC for you. We're happy to take the time to show you in more detail. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Oliver. Thank you for your time and presentation. And thank you, everyone, for participating in our post-IBC webinars. We have come to an end now. If you are a Spanish customer, we are very happy to welcome you this week, actually, on the 10th of October, with our sales partner iCox for a seminar in Madrid. And the next show will be in India. It will be end of October. But always please visit our website, www.x-stream-group.com or www.x-stream-distribution.com for the upcoming events. Please do not hesitate to contact us, as all of our exclusive partners also stated in the webinar, for personal demos, for proof of concepts, or just for a trial license as well. We are all very happy to assist you. And let me say once again, thank you very much for your time.